Welcome to Let's Talk Micro. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another season of Let's Talk Micro. I hope you had a good summer. So, now we are back to talk about micro, lab, and many things. As always, Let's Talk Micro, it's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn Radio, GoodPods, Pandora. Whatever you listen to your podcast, you can find Let's Talk Micro. As far as social media, I am on Instagram as Let's Talk Micro, no apostrophe, and on Twitter as Let's Talk Micro 1. I am also on LinkedIn as Luis Plaza. And remember that there's an invitation if you want to be a guest on Let's Talk Micro. You can email me at letstalkmicro@outlook.com. What I'm looking for is either you have published something, you're taking an initiative to either further microbiology or medical laboratory sciences. So if you have a topic that you think it will be good, and if you think you will be a good guest on Let's Talk Micro, go ahead and email me, or you can reach via Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And what a better way to start the season than instead of talking micro, we are talking lab. If you remember, back in May, I had a guest from the University of Utah, Dr. Lacey Moss, and we were talking about the Summer Immersion Program, an initiative where high school students could learn about medical laboratory sciences. So today we are featuring another MLS program, this time Michigan Tech University. They have a summer youth program, which is basically the same, to promote awareness to get students, high school students, interested in medical laboratory sciences. So in this episode, I have the program director for the Medical Laboratory Sciences program, Claire Danielson, and I also have the practicum coordinator, Sarah LewAllen. So they joined the podcast to talk about their MLS program and to talk about the summer youth program. So what does it entail? What's the criteria? And what about their program? What are they doing to promote awareness of medical laboratory sciences? They were great guests. I had a great time doing that interview, and I hope you enjoy it as well. So let's go ahead and listen to it. So on today's episode, we are talking lab again. Like I always like to say, I am a medical lab scientist, and this is what I went to school for. This is what I enjoy doing. So today, we're not only talking micro, we're just talking about the lab in general. And a few months ago, we talked about a summer, initiative by the University of Utah. And today we're featuring another MLS program where they have a similar program. So with me today, I have two guests from Michigan Tech University in Michigan. With me, I have Claire Danielson and Sarah LewAllen. Claire and Sarah, welcome to Let's Talk Micro.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here.
My pleasure. So let's go ahead and start with an introduction.
Sounds good. So my name is Claire Danielson, and I am the MLS Program Director and Assistant Teaching Professor at Michigan Tech University. We are located in Houghton, Michigan. So we are way in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We're practically Canada, as they say. We're left off many maps, actually.
My name is Sarah LewAllen, and I am the MLS Program Coordinator here at Michigan Tech as well. And Claire and I also teach in this program as well.
Yeah, we wear many hats in the program, and we work really closely with each other. And we also have another amazing associate teaching professor, Bridget Morin, that helps to teach our classes as well.
So let's go ahead and talk about your MLS program. There are several types out there, and I mentioned this before in previous episodes. There's like the 2+2, the 3+1. So what kind of program is the Medical Lab Sciences program at Michigan Tech?
That's a great question. So we have two different routes. So we have a 3+1 and 4+1. And the 3+1, essentially, our students complete 3 years of undergraduate classes on campus. And then they complete their final 2 semesters at one of our hospital affiliated clinical sites. This is usually for students that come in as freshmen knowing that they want to do medical laboratory science because it's pretty rigorous and fast-paced, and they have to take quite a few credits each semester. Sometimes we have transfer students that also will take this program or this route after they've earned, a few credits in another department on campus and they change their mind. So this allows our students to get done in 4 years, but they have to go to one of our hospital affiliated programs. And then our 4+1 route is they complete 4 years on campus, and then they go off to our university route to one of our university hospital affiliates because we are NACLS accredited. So we have 14 different clinical affiliates throughout Michigan, Wisconsin, downstate, all over the place that our students can go to, and most of them are around 24 weeks. The University of Michigan, however, is around 20 weeks, and sometimes we like our students to stay a little bit longer if we want them to see a little bit more, but on average, our university route is around 24 weeks. And once they complete that practicum or internship, then they receive their diploma. So the 4+1 is kind of like 4 years plus one more semester. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And then you were mentioning that you said with the clinical rotation, so that's the last thing they do in the program. Once they finish that, they graduate.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. I just want to add something to this. Like when I did mine, yeah, the way that it was made, it was basically the way it was set up. It was like on your second to last semester, you did clinicals, and then you had to go back to college. And I always found that so difficult because most of us we already had like a job either as a lab assistant. I was a medical lab technician before being an MLS, so you were in your groove. You were going to the hospital, doing one thing, and then you get used to that, getting up early, doing your full day, and then going back that last semester. It was like so weird. So I think it's really good that once you do your clinicals, you get in that mindset, and then you get your flow, and then you graduate, and then you get a job and continue.
Absolutely.
And I understand, Sarah, that you want to add something to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So for our 4+1 students, we actually have 2 separate routes for their internship that they can take. So we have what we call our university route, which is where we hold the NACLS accreditation and our students can go to affiliated sites that have hospital labs that do not have their own program. I think this is pretty common among a lot of NACLS programs. They have this type of internship for our students. But we also have affiliates at hospital sites that have their own MLS programs. They hold the NACLS accreditation. So we actually provide for our students 2 different routes that they can choose to take. They can either choose to stay at Michigan Tech and do their internship at one of our affiliated hospital sites, or they can move on to a hospital program that has their own NACLS accredited program. So we give our students the choice between the 2. They apply to each of them, and then there's a placement process where they have to interview, and then we kind of determine and help them decide what route will fit them the best.
And the reason why we do this is because we are in such a rural area and our students come from all over the Midwest, that a lot of our students, they want to go back home to, the Metro Detroit area, or maybe they live in Wisconsin or Minnesota. So a lot of our students choose whatever program obviously best fits their, learning needs, but also somewhere that they can go and live, maybe with friends or family. So having a lot of choices and options for our student is best, because we only have 2 small hospitals real close to us. So they have to move essentially somewhere. So we want to give them a lot of options and choices.
Yes, definitely. That makes it easier, and it's always nice if you can find a program or a rotation that you can do it closer to home. And from what I've seen, them sometimes some programs they have, because of that, they have some choices when they do the clinicals, and some can go ahead and do it a little bit at a hospital that's closer to them. and it makes it convenient because you do get, even here in Orlando, sometimes you get students that they drive an hour and a half just to go to the university. So that gets a lot, especially, it's that's a long commute. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the summer youth program. What is the purpose of it, and has something similar been done before, or is this new?
Yeah, so summer youth program in general at Michigan Tech is really a summer program that's anywhere between a week to 2 weeks, depending on the program, that exposes high school or middle school students to all kinds of different exploration programs. So whether that be science, engineering, humanities, all across our campus, we have all kinds of different programs. And we specifically have a medical laboratory science program that students that are interested in, whether that be medical school, maybe they want to go to nursing, but they're not really sure, just they have an interest in the health field in general in high school. So they come and join our program, and we teach them everything that there is on a very introductory level about medical laboratory science. Sarah, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so typically for the summer youth programs, this age range is usually 6th grade to 11th grade. It's a good opportunity for students to get exposures to different hobbies, different college majors, or even potentially careers. It's a pretty unique program, and honestly, it's pretty widespread. We've had, I have a stat here, over 1,100 participants from 30 different states and over 10 countries. So one year when I was in charge of teaching the SYP for the MLS students, we had a cohort of students that came from South Korea, which was really, really cool. They came all the way to Michigan Tech's campus and got to stay for a week and kind of explore, the surrounding area. We have a lot of really cool nature. We're right on Lake Superior, so we have waterfalls and hiking. So they got to do all of that, which is really cool.
And this program was started in 1972, so it just celebrated 50 years. So it was a big year for us. We have documentation of our first program in 1974, and it was titled A Look at Medical Technology. But our records from the first couple of years are not very substantial, but we can safely say that our program has been around for at least 48 of those 50 years.
Wow, since 1974. So definitely, been promoting, medical lab sciences for that long. That's just amazing. And from South Korea, wow, they just came for that week and did the program.
Yeah, so they I don't know if it was through a grant or whatever outreach program that Michigan Tech had at the time, but yeah, they came over for, I think they came for 2 weeks. So they did our MLS program, and then I think they went off and did a different exploration through SYP. But it's a pretty unique program, and what's really interesting is a lot of the students that come into the program tell us that they've never heard of this before. They have no idea what medical lab science is. And I feel like there's just not a lot of awareness of the lab in general. You go and you get your blood drawn, or you pee in a cup, and then it disappears, and everybody maybe doesn't know where that goes or who's doing those tests, right? So I think for a lot of students, it's really valuable because they can actually see for the first time that this is a really viable career path for them. This is something that, they can do that's really hands-on and really involved in the hard sciences. So I think for them, it's a really cool experience to kind of learn something that maybe they don't really have access to exposure to otherwise.
Wow, yes, you definitely said it, and I do talk about this a lot. There's definitely a lack of unawareness about it. And myself included, I did the same thing. Growing up, I know I had my blood drawn. I spent some time at a hospital, but I never understood what went behind the scenes. And same thing, I was already an adult, and I was just looking for a job before I left the military, and I found the MLT program. That's where I learned what we do, and I decided that I want to do this for a career. So definitely, in a lot of students, they already have degrees when they find out about this. So you get anything from at MLS's programs, you have anything from your regular 19-year-old going through college the first time, and then you also have your 30 plus students that they already have a degree, and then they found out, so they came back in and then they did the MLS program. So we get a lot of that. And also, yeah, there's an awareness overall, like even in the same medical field, the understanding of the test, the amount that we need. And sometimes, we do have to deal with these phone calls about, what do you mean you can do this test? Or what do you mean? It's like, we send 5 tubes of blood. And it's like, well, it's not the type that we use, and explain that stuff. So definitely there's a lot of unawareness.
For sure. And we have a lot of students that come in saying, I want to be a doctor or a dentist or a nurse. And then once they go through this program, they say, oh, wow, this fits me a lot better, or this fits my personality type a lot better. I'm a little more introverted, or I want to be more behind the scenes. And we've actually gained quite a few students to our program here at Michigan Tech through Summer Youth Program.
Yes, that's one of the appeals, being someone shy myself. I just, this is the most I talk, and when I teach, of course, but other than that, I do enjoy, especially micro, that we barely have our criticals, they, other than a certain, CSF or a blood culture, they take days, when we have some, an MDRO or something like that. So it's nice just working behind the scenes, and, you're doing so much for healthcare, but at the same time, you're not dealing with the patient directly, or with the doctors, you're just behind the scenes working. So it definitely, I can see the appeal for the different personalities. So you mentioned you have students from the 6th grade, and since you have students from such a young age, and I brought this question before, students of such a young age and high school students, so you don't have this program for college students. And I was told that sometimes, the logistics of having, older of age students with minors, it's a lot of paperwork and it gets difficult. So do you have anything similar for college students?
So we do not have any similar programs for college students. We do host several open houses at Michigan Tech where we represent medical lab science, and transfer students from other schools can come and ask questions. We set up a table and we open up our labs. So if they want to see, we'll always set up like a hematology slide or put some E. coli on some MAC so they can see the pretty color. But we don't have any programs specific for college students. Our SYP program in medical lab science is kind of specifically for high school students, because of the stuff that we teach is a little upper level. So we actually don't have any middle schoolers in this program. Most of them are 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. But our transfer students do get some exposure at our open house events.
I think at one point too, at Michigan Tech, I know there's an exploring majors course for students that are in an undecided major as a freshman coming into college. And I know that we've gone and promoted our program as one of the careers that you may not have heard of. And I know for a fact, I've had students that have come in because of having that exploring majors class. They heard about MLS and they're like, wow, that sounds really, really interesting. They come over and they talk to us, and then, they're an MLS major now, and we got them in our program, and it's great. It's helpful.
Okay, so that's that. So there's something in place where there's some awareness. So even if they're already in college, they can find out about this, perhaps, before it's too late, and they do something that maybe they weren't really interested in doing. But the main is, this program. So these students, when they go into college, from high school, they already, they're aware that this exists and this is an option. So that's the purpose of it. So as far as, because, you mentioned that you get, students from remote places for the program, is there a cost to this? And is there a criteria to get into the program other than being a high school student? Do you look like maybe they've done well in science or something like that?
So there is tuition, I guess we could call it, for the summer youth program. We have options for students who are local to just be a commuter. The other option for students who live farther away. They can actually stay in the dorms at Michigan Tech. So they get the real college experience of, you get to stay in the residence hall, you get to eat in the dining hall. So you really get that exposure, which is pretty cool. In terms of criteria for who does this program, we usually recommend that they have at least a biology class in high school under their belt. But other than that, we don't really have any requirement. It's pretty much open to anybody who's interested in anything biology, medical related, healthcare related. We like to keep our doors open so that we can reach as many students as possible.
And there are also scholarships available for underserved high schools. So in the Detroit metro area and throughout the Upper Peninsula, we've hosted students through scholarships that their school have obtained. So that's been really cool. They get this opportunity that they never thought that they really, that they might have, and they get to come and check out something new.
So what will students learn in the program?
So students that come into our MLS Summer Youth Program, they learn all the basics. So what is MLS? What does a medical laboratory scientist do? Where can they work? How do you become one? We touch a little bit on anatomy and physiology. And then each day we hit a major core department. So one day we kind of focus on hematology and we learn how to make blood smears. We look at blood smears. Another day we look at immunohematology or blood banking. They actually get to blood type themselves, which is kind of cool. Many of them don't know their blood type. So we just do a little finger poke and they get to figure out their blood type. Another day is microbiology. So we set up a bunch of plates. They get to practice streaking. We have a bunch of expired agar from our spring semester class that they get to just streak and see what grows the next day. We have another day where they focus on clinical chemistry. They get a ton of hands-on experience. So they also do phlebotomy on fake arms. So they get to learn the phlebotomy process. They get to look at parasitology slides. They also get to learn a little bit about urinalysis. And we have some Clinitech analyzers that they get to dip their urine and put it on, and lots of microscope practice. So some of these students have never used a microscope before, and others are in AP anatomy and maybe they're really good at a microscope, but they get lots of practice.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so they learn a little bit of each area of the lab, and that's such a great thing about this job. It's just like you can do so many things and you can work in so many areas. And like I like to say, maybe you don't like, people that don't like micro, they don't like the smell. They can't stand it, so they stay away from it. Maybe those maybe they don't like blood bank because they fear they might make a mistake. But then you have hematology, you have chemistry, so you have many options in this job. So it's definitely you can do so many things. So as far as, and you mentioned that you do the open house, and you're definitely on Instagram because that's why I found you in the first place, the program. Is the program taking any other initiatives to promote awareness to the MLS profession, social media, etc.?
Yeah, so we actually have a student organization called the Society of Medical Laboratory Scientists on campus. And that group hosts blood drives on campus. So we do a blood drive in the fall and in the spring. So at these events, we promote not only, the importance of donating blood, but also, hey, this is what medical laboratory scientists, are all about. And they really like doing that. Just recently, last fall, we created a new marketing / presence video, just kind of what is medical laboratory science and why is it so cool at Michigan Tech? So a lot of work went into that video. Sarah and I and our other colleague, Bridget, as well as many of our current students are in that video. We also participate in high school visits. So myself and the pre-health director, we actually go around to all of the local local high schools, and we talk to their juniors and seniors that are interested in science or health. And we just say, hey, these are the pre-health programs at Michigan Tech. This is what medical lab science is all about. And I would say that about 80% to 90% of the students that we go into their classroom, they have never heard of medical lab science before. And that's actually how I found out about medical lab science. I was in high school at a local high school, And somebody came into my high school and said, "Hey, have you heard of medical lab science before?" And I said, "No, I just, doctors, nurses, physical therapists." So we visit all of the local high schools and just make it aware that we exist and this is an option for them. And one other event that we put on is called the Bioathlon. And this is with local high schools. So it's a biology competition to encourage local high school students to get involved with Michigan Tech's biology program. And they have different like mini competitions. So they have an anatomy one and ecology, event. And then we also hosted a medical lab science one where one year it might be urinalysis related or hematology related. And all the local high schools compete and the winner gets usually like a trophy or some type of prize.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, what's your program do you have? Is it just one, how many, like one class at a time? Like typically most programs do, they have either one class that's doing the clinicals and then one that's doing the theory. Is it like that?
Yeah, so we accept students as freshmen. So we have a freshman class, a sophomore, a junior, and a senior class. And our senior class, or in their junior year, we're preparing them to apply and go out into their clinicals. So whether that's through one of our affiliates or one of our hospital affiliates. So we prepare them in their junior year. They're also taking MLS classes, physics, organic chemistry, all kinds of other classes. And then in their senior year is when they really dive into hematology, clinical chemistry, blood banking. And then once they complete those courses on campus, typically in the spring, they go out into their clinicals. So we have, right now, our program's about 80 students.
Okay. That's a large number. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's, I like to ask that too, because one of the sites, that as we bring more awareness to this, then eventually all the programs that we need to be more prepared to take more students, because right now the pace is there is high demand, but we don't produce enough, like not enough students graduate. So we eventually reach the goal of making sure that everyone knows that this exists, that this is an option, then we have to be prepared to receive more students. And okay, is there anything else that either of you want to add?
I would say that if, to anybody listening, if you're a high school student or somebody who might be interested in pursuing medical lab science as a career, I think it's a fantastic option for you, especially if you're kind of undecided about, if you want to go on to college or university level education, and you want to stay in the biology field. I think that this provides one of the most pragmatic and, you're going to have a job after you graduate. You will have a job. You are super employable. And that's not just in a hospital lab as well. There's a ton of different avenues that you can take with this degree. So I always like to push anybody who has interest in healthcare, in biology, towards medical lab science, just because I think it's so employable and you get a really, really well-rounded science education.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of demand, so you will definitely have a job. Like especially now with COVID and everything, we found ourselves, we had so much demand, and we have been so short staffed that even like the hospital that I worked at, they hire international candidates. Definitely, you will have a job if you complete this program. Well, there you have it, audience. There's another program out there that they are taking steps to make sure that they promote awareness to our profession. So, Sarah and Claire, it's been a pleasure to having you here on Let's Talk Micro.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I really enjoy all of your posts. We love resharing them.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been fun chatting with you.
Yes, I definitely thank you for the support. I do see that when I'm going through the stories, I see like the pictures of plates and stuff that I post. I know that you reposted. So thank you so much. So what's the Instagram handle for the program?
It is Michigan Tech _MLS.
Are you on any other platform?
So we have a Facebook page as well, Michigan Tech MLS. Let me pull it up real quick. I feel like I might be saying it wrong. Michigan Tech Medical Laboratory Science on Facebook. Some of our students have encouraged us to get on TikTok, but I'm not quite there yet. I might leave that up to my intro to MLS course if they want to make some videos or things like that. I'm hoping to get some of their involvement on social media this fall. I'd love to encourage them to help me come up with some posts or get creative and making some videos. I'm not real savvy when it comes to social media, but I'm definitely trying.
Yeah, definitely. I found so many pages and so many people that it just, so much information from medtech, microbiologists. So people are really taking advantage of social media, either doing videos of anything from sometimes, looking in the microscope or streaking plates or doing anything lab related. So that's definitely a good choice nowadays to bring more awareness. So once again, it was a pleasure. So thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that, my dear audience, is the end of this episode. Welcome back. I am so happy to be back talking to all of you. I hope you enjoyed the interview about the Summer Youth Program from Michigan Tech University. Thank you so much, Sarah LewAllen and Claire Danielson, for taking the time to join in Let's Talk Micro. Shout out to their program. I enjoy bringing this information to you, as always, so I hope you enjoyed it. What a great initiative, right? And that program has been running since 1974. That's amazing. We have to continue bringing awareness to the medical laboratory sciences profession. So continue bringing that passion to what you do. You are going to be learning a lot this season, some great information. As always, stay motivated, stay safe, and of course, continue talking micro. Until the next time. Bye.